everybody, today we are making salt bars, and this is my #1 selling soap. If you haven't tried a salt bar before, try one. From me or from somebody else. There's lots of people that sell salt bars. So a salt bar is usually made with mostly olive oil and a high percentage of coconut oil. But for mine, I did add a little bit of mango butter and sweet almond oil just to bring back a little bit more conditioning properties. And I also, my super fat is at a 20%. My salt ratio though is at 75%. And this is Mediterranean sea salt. So let's go ahead and start pouring our lye. And I am recording this live. We'll see how it goes. If you've never made soap before, you must wear gloves and goggles or very good eye protection. I don't think glasses really cut it. They don't. You need something that covers the sides and the front. All right, we got our lye in there. A couple stirry stirs. Then we'll blend her up. And I'll show you what we're doing today. The scent I'm using is a custom blend. It's a bergamot. It's a bergamot and French lime blend. And there we go. Let's set this off. Get some air bubbles out of our blender. Almost at an emulsion. Now, when you're doing salt bars, you do want to get it to a good trace so that your salt suspends and does not fall to the bottom. There. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pour half of this off because half of my bar is going to be green and the other half no color. And then we will continue to get our trace. So I'm going to put my color in, which I'm using a pigment this time, which is a green oxide. Now you can find this pigment in nature, but reputable suppliers make sure it's man-made because in nature you're going to get a lot of mineral deposits that just won't work in soap. Let's get this mixed up. And I find that a nice green oxide creates a beautiful green color more than a mica for this particular soap. Okay. Now we'll blend this up until we get to a good trace, because I'm going to be pouring this first. I'm not as concerned with air bubbles when making a salt bar because there's a lot of texture that comes from the salt itself. I'm gonna pour my fragrance in. I forget if this decelerates or not, but I believe it does. I think I do want, since that's decelerating, slightly more pigment in there. Hold on a second. Blend that up again. Make sure the pigment's mixed in. Yeah, I like it to be a little bit more green. All right, we're at a good trace to suspend our salt. So now I will pour half of this salt in. Now, salt bars tend to firm up pretty quickly. So I'm gonna get this in and pour it. Make sure it's mixed in good so we don't have any big clumps. Okay, that is going in. Oh, I saw a couple of clumps. That's okay. All right. I have a little extra there. All right. Tap her down a little. And then I'm going to do a nice gold mica line. I just get one of these loose tea guys, and I just put it in and pick up a little bit. Well, that made a mess. And we'll sprinkle her on. I didn't learn from the first time. You don't want to put too much mica on or else your bars will separate, but it's nice to have a visible line. I don't know if I mentioned, but I am soaping at about 90 degrees. It doesn't quite matter with this formula because you want your batter to be somewhat thick, again, to help everything suspend nicely. All right, so this is going to be my white layer. It's almost there. Keep stirring. I'll be right back. All right, so we're just about ready. One other thing to note is that because you're adding salt, a lot of salt to your bars, your volume will increase. So you'll need to recalculate your recipe to hold that extra volume. I am using Mediterranean sea salt, but a lot of people use Himalayan sea salt, gray sea salt. There's lots of different kinds of sea salts. Mine is fine. You don't really want to use anything that's too coarse because then it will be scratchy. Believe it or not, salt bars that use fine sea salt are not scratchy, not really exfoliating, maybe a little bit, but more than anything, they make your skin nice and soft. I don't want to say it's like a conditioning agent, just like you would for your hard water, you add salt as a softener. That's what it does. It softens the water on you. Plus it's really bubbly and really fun. All right, this is set up nice. So I'm gonna pour this on. Let's try not to break through the green layer. And salt bars create a very hard bar of soap. I am getting some chunks in there, but that's okay. And if you are making a salt bar, they tend to set up very fast. So I do not pop these bars, which means I do not put them in the oven when they're done. I just leave it on the counter. I do nothing. See if I can get the top nice and flat. I like it flat for my salt bars. And that's that. I don't even worry about soda ash or anything like that. I will not spray it with alcohol. It doesn't need it. I'll cover it and leave it. Now, I do have some extra batter, so give me a second and I'll show you what I do with that. Okay, so for any extra batter that you have, just gonna add extra salt in there. Give it a good stir. I will try and find or use any of my small molds here and just combine the extra batter. Try and get as much as possible out of here. Okay, so I just give this a little bit of an in the pot kind of swirl stir. I'll get a little bit in each first. Oh, get in there. Get in there. So you can use a loaf mold like I did here to make your main bars, but you'll have to keep an eye on them because they set up quick and get hard quick to the point where you won't be able to cut them. So make sure you're keeping an eye on, especially if it would be your first time making a salt soap. You'll probably be able to cut it in a few hours, if not the same day. Mine will be a little bit extra time because I did add the extra almond oil to mine. Boy, I'm making a mess. I will clean it up. A lot of people also make salt bars just in single bar molds or cavity molds like this, because it doesn't matter how hard it is. You're not going to be cutting it. You can just unmold it quickly and easily. I wish you could smell it. It smells so yummy. This way, none of my batter will go to waste. These are like the ultimate spa bar. I guess it's a combination of, I think, the scent. There we go. I think it's a combination of the scent, the colors, and the salt. Really makes it such a nice bar. And this is why this is one of my best sellers, because people come back for more. So again, if you didn't catch it earlier, I add sweet almond oil, mango butter, olive oil, and the majority coconut oil with a 20, or you could use 25% super fat. My water is a 2-to-1 ratio for this. I actually usually soap at more of a water discount. I usually soap at a 1.7 for my regular bars, but this one I do add a little extra water to give a little extra time. All right, so for this, I will just clean up the edges. Doesn't matter too much. And then we'll come back and we will unmold. Okay, so here we are. Our salt bars have set up. They actually took a little longer this time. The loaf mold took longer just because there's more volume. I didn't cut it until the next morning, but if I had waited any longer, it would have been too hard. The outside edges are still quite a little bit soft, but the center was getting really hard. So I decided to cut them, and they look so pretty. They smell wonderful. They feel so great on the skin. And I'm happy with them. The green is a little bit lighter than my first batch like this, and there is a little bit of a partial gel, but that's fine. My first batch, the green oxide, was a tad too much. It bled a little bit, so that when you made a lather, it was like ever so small amount of green in the lather. So I did end up using a little bit less, but they are wonderful. And I hope you get to try a salt bar sometime. I'm just going to speed this up for you.